All right, you're asking for it, so here it is. Listen to this.
I want you fucking laughing at we partners pod, kid. You understand? We in here drinking, singing, singing, all that shit, dog. Sweating, getting wet, and all that.
All right. We love it. Welcome to the Drinking Partners Podcast live at Fresh Fest 2018. We at Fresh Fest. We making history, baby. Yeah. We making history now. Nobody sat on this side of the room, though. We got to do a little better next time. We got all these beer drinkers in the room. They're like, you know what? I'm going to take as few steps as possible. I'm sitting right by the door. If you don't know, I'm half of your hosting tandem, Ed Bailey. I'm joined as always with my co-host, Dave Bracey. Say what up to the people.
What's good with you people? We are the Drinking Partners. If you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Libsyn under Google Play. Shit, man, this is a special episode, man, but it's been 100 and something, man, and we gonna keep asking y'all, at home, because I know not y'all, but yeah, no, fucking y'all too. Hop on iTunes, rate and review. I mean, we got like almost 100 motherfuckers in the room already. Shit, that's 100 new reviews.
We should
you
get
motherfuckers, hop on iTunes. Rate and review. Like, hey, I know
we
y'all got
5-star
smartphones
right now?
because we only advertise online. So hop on iTunes, rate and review. That's how we know we're doing well. That's how we let others know that we're doing well, and that's how we continue to do well. So please hop on iTunes and even Facebook. You know what I mean? Rate and review.
Hey, listen, you love us, right? Y'all love Drinking Partners? All right. Y'all having fun at Fresh Fest? Y'all having a good time? All right. Well, look, if y'all see us in public, give us shots of Henny, too. Now, we ain't just drinking.
Yeah.
We ain't always on beer. Like, in lieu of a rate and review, because we don't have 100 of them Jones, and there's 100 of y'all in here, let's get them shots of Hennessy going, all right?
Yeah.
I'm excited, though, man. Like, I don't even know how to... It's all bubbling up. It's real now.
It's
like
happening.
Work.
Like, it's actually happening right now. I haven't even fully realized it. Like, my mind is in the parking lot somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, directing motherfuckers up this ramp. So like, I ain't even fully in this yet. But it's just crazy. We're at a fucking brew festival, and this is the most Negroes I've ever seen in a brew festival. I've seen. I've only been to a few, but I mean, it's just so and it's a nice melanated, it's like nice mix. It's all the hues. Man, I didn't know it was gonna be and we didn't even get it started yet. We still got 500-600 people coming to this bitch, but just seeing it as it is just
For everybody who questioned the diversity because it was pegged as a black beer festival, and I believe it is. I mean, look in this room, man. It's all different shades, all different colors, all people's backgrounds, and we all love craft beer. We all love having a good fucking time, and we about to do it, man. We about to do it a little different. So if you listen to the podcast, normally it's just Day and I talking shit on each other, and in the midst of it, we try to ask some questions to some people. But we're empowering the people in this room, We're going to get to a question and answer session, but we have to, we're very honored to have our two guests today. We've been following them. We, in this city, do not have any black breweries, and we have two guests, two black breweries owners in the building. So we're going to get into this. We have Celeste Beatty of Harlem Brewery in the building. She queening like a motherfucker.
She is the Beyonce. She is the Beyonce of brewers, clearly.
She queening.
Man.
She in this show queening on us, man.
Do you have a lemonade brew? Because if not, you need to drop that.
Reach out to Beyonce and get her permission first. I don't want to be doing anything that she's going to be pissed off with, so I'm going to reach out to her and see if we can do this collaboration.
Nice. And if she's mad, we got your back. It's cool. Yeah, that is.
I don't ride on Beyonce. I don't ride against Beyonce. She got a whole hive. I don't deal with that. But that was a soft flex. We also have Chris Harris of Black Frog Brewery in the building. Come on. Okay. I feel like we just got flexed on our own podcast.
Truth, I ain't never had that kind of a reaction any time in my life for doing anything. Like, God damn, that is a hell of a. So, I mean, thank you folks for coming in. I mean, you travel far and wide. I mean, you all the way out in Toledo, all the way out in Harlem one night, down here in little old Pittsburgh in the summertime.
Ohio
You
in
could
the
have been
building,
anywhere
y'all.
you wanted to be on this planet, and you decided to come there to Pittsburgh. We appreciate you for doing that. We appreciate you for trailblazing like that whole like. I mean, there's less than 50 black brewers in
less than 50
America.
black brewers,
You're in that. There,
What was it like 1.2% or some shit like that?
yeah, like there are more motherfuckers in the Hall of Fame than there are black brewers. Yeah, I mean, like we need to get
It's
y'all
more
a gold
motherfuckers
coat.
on the Steelers.
Yeah, y'all like
like
the founding
currently.
member, like y'all the OGs of this black. Yeah, I mean, wave that we trying to start here. So like, we appreciate y'all coming down. I guess my first question is like, what is your backgrounds like in beer? How did you get in? Because like, a part of this festival is one, representation. Representation matters. So we're bringing out successful people that are already, doing that look like us, so that like we are inspired to do that same thing first and foremost. But you didn't really have that. Yeah, I mean, like 30 years ago, it wasn't like there was any of you like around. So like, how did you get into beer? How did you get inspired to do this?
Well, one of my inspiration was actually working with Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
Really?
I know it sounds weird, but I was working with a Ben & Jerry's partner shop in Harlem on 125th Street and 5th Avenue, 1993, and love cooking. And at night, I would go home and brew. I love making different dishes with beer and wine and spirits, and just fell in love with the aromas. It reminded me of my mom and my grandma standing around that pot, when you dip your finger in or they give you a little sip. There's just so much about that really excited me, and that was sort of the beginnings. While I was working at Ben & Jerry's learning about ice cream ingredients, I'd go home at night and learn about the ingredients of beer, and was really inspired to try to cook it. And it just reminded me so much, as I said, of making those soups, and it evolved over time. I could go into a lot of details, but that was sort of the beginnings. And I lived right around the corner at that time on 123rd across from Marcus Garvey Park. And at night I was going home and sort of putting stuff in a pot that was similar to the one that my mom made her soups in. And it evolved really over the years in a lot of ways that we could probably talk about through some other questions. But that was the beginnings for me.
So I mean, the beginnings were that's the cooking.
Actually
Because
cooking.
I mean, cooking, like, and that's what a lot of people, I guess, forget, is that this is just food, and that's what I try to tell people. Like, if you think you don't like beers because you ain't had the right beers, it's like you saying you don't like food. This shit could taste like any motherfucking thing. You know what I mean? It could taste like your girl from last night. Now, hear what I'm saying?
See, early, we 5 minutes in. 5 minutes in, he already offended folks.
I'm just saying some of the similar ingredients involved at times. If you're doing it wrong.
We do know that there's someone who's experimented with a beer made with.
I heard about it.
All right.
So I ain't wrong.
Put it
I
out
ain't
there.
wrong. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it could taste like anything. So you just haven't had the right beer. You know what I mean? But like, I mean, cooking is a thing. But like, who told you could brew beer?
Yeah, like what was this brew scene like in Harlem? Like at
Yeah,
that time,
like-
like how do you transition from
like
ice cream
Brew
into
scene
just
in
beer?
Harlem. Oh man, that was 1993, 94. The brew scene in Harlem. Well, there were very few, if any, draft lines in Harlem, so they just
Wait, draft lines?
it was all bottles. All
Bottles.
bottles.
Okay.
There was no draft. And,
Wait, there
I mean,
were no draft lines? What? Really?
No.
There was nobody just pouring straight out
no,
like
no,
the keg.
no.
It was
Just
all
so
bottles.
everybody
Pure
had
bottles.
Why do you
That's
believe
just
that?
illegal
Why
now.
was that?
Yeah, you can't go to certain clubs in black neighborhoods and get a bottle. It's got to be in a plastic cup.
oh, plastic cups. Don't really know about that, but
But
what
what was it about the neighborhood that made there weren't any draft lines? Was it just because brewers weren't at the bars weren't like bringing in kegs like
There were just no draft lines. I mean,
Budweiser?
there's a lot of different reasons I think we can point to that, just the whole history of brewing in our country and
Yeah.
how beer evolved. But it was mainly bottles and cans.
And then
The whole idea of canning or kegging beer was just not something that was happening. When I proposed the idea of opening up a brewery in Harlem, it was not a very
it was
popular
not
idea.
well received.
It was not well received at all.
Who was giving you flack?
Well, how much time do we have here?
About an hour.
We got plenty of time.
So, Eric, yeah.
Well, look, Harlem is an amazing community. It's been the epicenter of African diasporic culture for a very long time. It's impacted world history, culture, as we know. Its impact has been felt, all over the world. So people want to protect that, and if you're there, people want to make sure that what you're doing is really honoring that history and culture. And there are a lot of amazing churches there. And I respected that. And the idea of opening a brewery at the time was not very popular. So that was the biggest challenge.
Biggest hurdle going.
They were hiding behind religion.
Changing the scene. Nice.
Changing the scene.
So now you're a double minority in this industry. Like, where do you think you were getting the most flack in that regard? I mean, not only being African American, but being a woman first. I don't want to extend, like, if you're saying we ain't got enough time, we can talk about this off air.
Let's have more beer, guys, and talk
it's
about
like
this
right
afterwards.
in her throat. She won't get it out.
Well, yeah. I mean, most of the time when I'm out in accounts, people don't really see me as a brewer. They think I'm the Harlem brewer, the Sugar Hill girl. I'm out there to promote the beer. Where's your outfit? You got to kind of be a little less. What? I mean, it's just over the years, I've been doing this now for 20 years, 17 years with the company, and the perception of women in brewing hasn't actually been the idea of women actually brew. It's been women as promoters of beer, sort of sexually
like the
provocative
promotional
dress.
girls with the shorts
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
whole nine,
The
but
Corona
like,
girl.
not really valuing you as an individual.
Yeah, so that's been a big part of the challenge, but that's changed a lot. There are a lot of women that are brewing now. There's a Pink Boot Society, so there's a lot more of us out there brewing, and people are taking us more seriously as people that actually brew.
Is that for Pink Boots?
There's an event that's going on in New York right now called Beers Without Beards.
Beers without beards. It's
Very
like
interesting.
Fresh Fest, like light.
Talking about women in brewing. So, I mean, those are some of the challenges, but that's the journey for me has been really amazing. I really love the opportunity to have Harlem Brewing Company to use that as a banner to really celebrate the history and culture of the community and to invite people into the experience of learning the brew. So I have an experience on 141st Street where people come in and brew with me for 2.5 hours. So that's kind of been my focus these days, is really to invite the community in to learn about what brewing is.
Are you creating opportunities is a question you should ask yourself on a regular basis. I mean, like, I don't care who you are or what you're doing. If you're not creating opportunities for other people, then what the fuck are you useful for? I mean, like,
Yeah.
like, this is a society. I mean, like we all, nobody got here by themselves. So if you ain't everybody has their struggles and it's cool. But like, I mean, this is the VIP area. I feel everybody in here. I mean, like we kind of got over some struggles.
Yeah.
If you're not creating some, if you're not bringing anybody else in, then the fuck you doing? So I appreciate you. I mean, having that mentality. Bring the community in. I mean, show them what you're doing.
No, we
and
definitely
lead by
appreciate
example. And that's why we have you here, because. Shit. I mean, we ain't got a lot of y'all here. And like you said, you're double. So
minority.
like, yeah, shit. Thank you so much.
Perfect
you so much.
representation
Thank
of
you
what
so
Fresh
much.
Fest is trying to do. So we're definitely happy to have you here. Chris, we'll pose some of the same questions to you. Like, how did you get into brewing? Especially out in Ohio. I'm from Cleveland, so I'm happy to have Ohio native here. You're talking about, hold on, don't boo us, all right? We got y'all in here with us, all right?
No,
Y'all rock with us.
We're just gonna like.
But no, because when Dave was talking about creating opportunity, I mean, out there in Toledo, I don't know what it's like. I haven't traveled there often, but I'm sure Black Frog brings a lot of opportunities to that.
So for me, when I first started, of course, I really didn't have anybody to really look up to influence me on how to start a brewery. So everything I did was pretty much a lot of research. It all kind of started, my father used to brew wine, so I really got interested in the whole brewing process because he brewed wine. I tried my hand at wine. I was terrible at it. So I moved on to beer, and it seems as if, I found my knack when I was brewing beer. And so I just kind of honed my craft when I was brewing beer. And got my recipes down to where I like them. and then did a lot of market research, gave it to a lot of friends, a lot of families, went to a lot of events for people to try beers, and then that's how I got my the feedback that I needed what I needed to do to hone my beers, and then I decided that okay, it's time for me to start a brewery, and the route that I decided to do was to take it slow. I wanted to dip my feet into the brewing community. I didn't want to take any large loans, so I took money out of a 401k. I converted half my garage into a brewery. I got my license from the TTB, license from the state of Ohio, and started brewing beer in my garage. And I started selling bottles at local stores. It was just flying off shelves. And then at that point, it was decided
See that
okay.
little, he tucked that in. It was just flying off shelves. I couldn't even. I mean, it's a struggle, you know.
Ain't no shit. He had a 401k. I don't even. You can't struggle with a 401k. That done eliminated 38% of the people in this room from starting a brewery.
I had a pretty good job. I can't deny. I had a pretty good job, which I recently retired from.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You made it.
That's what we trying to do.
Yay.
Me and Dave trying to retire right now.
Yeah, we trying to.
We trying to throw a Fresh Fest every week so we can retire. From city to city, do a Fresh Fest and then retire. Should be dope. But no, in both of your stories, I want to ask, so with craft not being a big thing in your neighborhoods at that time, how difficult was it to take that step to start a business? I mean, you withdrawing from your 401k, which I'm sure your financial advisor like, no, don't do that. I mean, you gonna get me out of work. That's basically what they saying. And
pretty much.
You stepping around, you walking around, you're asking about it, and people are giving you flack and all that. Like, what's that, what I'm just gonna go all in?
How difficult. It's pretty difficult, particularly in Harlem, where you have such an amazing legacy and history that, like so many other communities in our country, people want to protect them. They're very particular and very guarded about how people attach themselves to that legacy and wanting to make sure that we're honorable, we're respectful and thoughtful about that. So it was, I actually had to get permission from a very well-known minister in Harlem to even put the name Harlem on my company.
Really?
Wow.
Absolutely. None of the
Creflo?
distributors wanted to distribute my beer because they thought somehow this particular well-known minister might protest against it. There was a huge gangster rap protest at the time that they spoke out about. There was a lot of perception of negativity in the music, and the thought was that putting the name Harlem on a beer might be perceived as disrespectful to the community. So I had to actually go have a meeting with this minister. And that was like kind of going to see the Wizard of Oz. That's the only thing I can think of. I was like, I don't know. Do I take beer? Do I not take beer? I didn't take beer because I thought it would be disrespectful to even take beer into the
Jesus drank.
Yeah.
Just
wine.
saying.
They give wine
That's
at
my
church.
argument. Now, my argument is
wine
that he
at
drank
church.
beer because it was so much easier to make. I mean, wine was like a finer type thing, and Jesus connected to people, everyday people.
Everyday people.
Look at the
I
people.
understand. I wasn't
drinking
there,
it.
but
people in here.
Listen.
But anyway.
They only had wine because that's all they had. If they had some natty ice in the back, they would have been drinking that. Like, they would have done it.
Well,
and wasn't a lot of, especially Jesus bringing up the bread and the fish and all that. You think there was wine at that party? Nah, that was Vladimir or something,
I
man.
didn't take the minister on with that argument about whether Jesus drank wine or beer. But I did think it was important to be mindful of the community, and there are a lot of amazing churches and communities. So when my friends like the Bronx Brewery or Queens Brewery, they're like, what? You had to meet with a minister? Harlem is a very special community. It's known around the world. We want to protect it. We want to make sure that it's preserved and celebrated. So I needed to go talk to the minister to at least get his opinion. And he was very specific about his concerns. And to this day, we don't have a brewery in Harlem. I have a Brudio where I do classes. I do my test batches there. People come in on an Airbnb experience, spend 2.5 hours with me, and then I brew in upstate New York. Right now, we're working on opening up a brew pub beer hall right now. But the challenges were very significant because this is a very unique community. It's like Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. You know, people want to protect that history. And it's just not something I thought I would have to deal with. This is beer. It's like, you know, you drink this stuff, but there's so much in craft beer. Brewers look to their communities. They want to celebrate. They want to preserve it. They want to make sure they do the right things, and this is not an exception to that. So today, things are changed. There's a lot of understanding about there being a lot of breweries, so they're more open to it. So now we're working on opening up a small batch brewery and beer hall, but it took now 17 years for me to finally get to this point that they felt comfortable, because they now see all these other breweries around. They understand the jobs, they understand the opportunities. But I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to even have the banner of Harlem on our brand. It means so much. I don't think that I'll ever be able to live up to what Harlem represents, but I'll do whatever I can in the way that I can on the banner that we have, whether it's bottle, cans, or kegs, to continue to utilize that banner as a way to celebrate the community. So I don't know if that answered your question. Sometimes I get emotional about it.
I don't know if she answered my question either. I feel small as shit right now.
Yeah, no, I just like
I need to do something better. I need to open a hot dog stand or something. I need to do something better with my life.
My whole heart is warm. I was just watching. I was just like, I just
Warm
want
as
you to
shit.
keep talking. Like,
Go ahead.
I forgot I was on a podcast. That is, man, you 17 years. You can do whatever you want, darling. You are the Beyonce
She done
of
got
beer.
all that out. She getting emotional now.
Blurred limes. Yeah. That's a. All right, we get the middle section over here. I mean, you
See, I
wasn't
like
the
that
motherfucker over here
enthusiasm.
handing the glass to Ed to fill up like he was a waiter, is you? Because then we'd have to have
No,
you
that
come-
wasn't him. I ain't gonna point out who it was.
Yeah, all right. Why don't you come down and grab this can? I mean, if you want it, come get it. And we gotta come and get it.
I'm gonna have to pause that. That's gonna be our first pause of this episode. But what I do enjoy about craft beer is like the brewers that we're with, like they're very passionate about tasting, like exploring new things, like just to see Celeste, like, yo, can we open this? Like you see that in this industry. You don't see that in a lot of industries, like people who invest in their competition. So how have you, now that you all trailblazed in your particular areas, like how are the partnerships within that area now? Because I know Pittsburgh's very supportive with craft beer. Like the craft beer community is super supportive. As you can see with Fresh Fest, with all the collaborations, like, you know, they came out, they showed out for us. Like how was it in Toledo and in Harlem now? How's like the craft community in Toledo and in Harlem?
In Harlem? Are you going to speak about Harlem?
No, I don't want to speak about Harlem.
Well, I'm throwing questions to both of you.
How's the competition?
Well, not competition, just the community, like how supportive, because we're a very supportive community.
Yeah, it's a very supportive community here in Pittsburgh, and like
And we
people
don't
ask
know
me that
if
question
it's-
all the time, and like I don't really know. I can't answer how that is around the country. I mean, I don't know if the craft beer community is as supportive, especially are they as supportive given, the fact that you're Negroes. I mean, like, are they going to, because those are
it
things
out
that,
there.
like, I mean, Negroes. We're Negroes, I mean?
Yeah, like she ain't never heard the term. Yeah.
So I can say in Toledo, they're very supportive.
Yeah.
And everybody's aware, of course, that I'm the only African-American brewer in Toledo. And it's very warm and welcoming from all the other brewers in the Toledo area. So anytime there's any festival that's in the Toledo area, everybody comes up to me, everybody's nice. There's never been any problems. So, I mean, it's very supportive there.
Nice.
Well, I would, it's pretty supportive in Manhattan. It's very competitive.
I'd
And we
imagine.
do have a New York City Brewers Guild, which I'm one of the founding members of. But at the end of the day, after those events, we're all trying to compete for shelf space and draft lines and all the rotations that go on. I don't even know. I was telling someone a moment ago, there's no real rhyme or reason to how people decide on how beers rotate. There's just so many of them. And you look at 365 days in a year and 365, so few draft lines. No, I haven't seen any bars that has 365 draft lines. So it's very competitive. We do have moments when we come together and support one another. But at the end of the day, we're all competing. We're a very small percentage. We have distributors who are beholden to A.B. Miller Coors. I've had the Heineken CEO approach me about mentoring. I was like, really? Mentoring? But anyway.
Mentoring?
He's trying to steal his secrets.
Yeah, it's just, they're really concerned about their bottom line. They're concerned about their market share, and they're out there to eliminate, catch and kill, or just get you out of the way. I'm not fooled by the fact that they approach a lot of craft breweries. Some of them I don't even see. You hear about these acquisitions, but then you don't really see them pushing those beers. So I think you have to be very careful as a craft brewer, as a brewer in general, when you're approaching some of these deals. So I could go on and on and on because, believe me, after 17 years, I have a lot of ideas and experiences. But that's sort of just been my experience with it.
Right. So I guess I'll ask you some of the questions people keep asking me, and I don't fucking. I just want everybody to know I don't know shit about beer. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like, you know what I mean? But I really
isolate
don't.
that.
I don't even know like outside of whatever. I mean, especially like the country or whatever. But like, why do you believe that there are so few of us in the industry? You know what I mean? Like, because it's complex. It's almost not a wrong answer. You could almost just throw a rock out and hit the right answer. It's all the reasons. Like, it's America. So if you name anything in America, it's probably the reason. But I mean, in your opinion, I guess, what do you believe? Like, why when we walk in are we the only folks there?
I don't believe that at least the larger craft breweries target African Americans for their brands. I can speak at home. If I go to a neighborhood store, I won't see any craft beer inside the store. I'm going to see Old English or Budweiser, but you're not going to see any type of craft beer. And if you see any type of craft beer ads, you're not going to typically see us in those ads. So they're not targeting us for their audience, which I believe is a mistake because I think the last report, we make up around 20% of craft beer drinkers, but they don't target us in their ads.
Well, I mean, shit, we did a whole festival based on that. I mean, so
Right.
clearly they missing the mark. Like, so yeah, no, I mean, we definitely have the demographic. We're drinking this shit.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, but it's mostly. I was talking to Mike. We had an interview or whatever. He was saying like, it's a lot of old E. I mean, St. Ides.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the malt liquors and whatnot. Like, hella Billy D. Williams. Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean,
But
like.
we still got the Tupac St. Ides poster in my granddad's old convenience store. So
Yo, bro,
it's
I had
fucked up.
the Crucial Conflict fucking St. Ides did.
Crucial
yeah, I
teach you
mean,
everything.
Hey,
It's all high hopes and about it, get down. That section, Crucial Conflict was a rap group out of Chicago, I believe. I know y'all looking like, who the fuck is Crucial Conflict? They were dope. They were like Bone Thugs Light.
Yeah, they was. They was exactly. Yeah.
Because Ohio was in the building. I'm happy as
Always
fuck.
10.
Yes, sir. You better act like you know.
They don't know that.
They don't know.
Smoking on hay. Yeah, no, that was.
Oh, don't get me start singing and shit now.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess same question. Why do you? I mean, that's part of the reason. I don't know. In your opinion.
Well, I read a lot about beer history in our country, its evolution, and when you look at brewing history, there's like the broader brewing history of how beer evolved. I spent some time in Africa and met African women brewers that brew traditional beers. They've been doing it for thousands of years. Then you have the European history in Germany and other parts of the world where they have their own history. And in terms of how craft beer evolved in this country, many of those people that came from Europe brought those traditions with them. The nature of our history of African Americans being brought here as slaves, we weren't allowed to continue the practice of many of our culture and things that we knew how to do or knew how to brew.
You had to act like you couldn't read, let
Yeah.
alone brew a motherfucking beer. Like,
But the fact of the matter.
Imagine Massa catching you in the back, like brewing up an IPA.
Well,
like,
actually,
that'd be your ass.
They done took that shit.
Actually,
You might have been a house
Pres-
Negro after that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You
If you
brew an
brewed it,
IPA,
if
you'd
he
have got
sit there,
promoted.
he'd been like, he
But
brews a good
actually-
beer.
You'd have got a
But if
mattress out of that
this,
shit.
but if I could say this,
You got a mattress out
You'd
of
have got
that?
a mattress.
if I could add this historical note, actually, we did brew beer for President Jefferson.
Oh, Jefferson. Is that why he claimed
and
that?
others. We were brewing and growing hops for them. I grow hops in Harlem and various parts of New York City, small batches and vines. But there is a history of us having brewed. And like any other culture that comes to this country, we have Chinatown, Little Italy, various parts of, these are traditions that are brought here. And there's a whole history of our culture from the continent influencing everything here. And brewing just happens to be one of those things that didn't quite get through. But the traditions were brought here. That's why my mother's uncle makes communion wine. I mean, it didn't just fall out of the sky. He brought those talents over generations. And many of us have stories of people in our family that brew beer. There's a woman whose stuff is going to be deposited into the new African American Museum that I met in Harlem. Her father was a brewer in the 40s in Indiana. They still have the crock that he brewed on, and they have the bottle capper, and he was known as a local home brewer. So we all have these traditions. Some of it's kind of hush, hush. Don't tell anybody we were back there making that Rundsteiner beer. But all of our cultures, culturally, as we look around the room, African American, European descent, we have traditions of brewing. African Americans and African diasporic people are no exception to that. So I think, there are long traditions there. Those are things that we're trying to shine a light on so that we can all sort of connect and understand and share ideas and recipes around our common history. And that's some of the stuff that we really want to talk about more. We were speaking about this with Mike and some of the brewers that are here, sort of honoring that tradition and looking at collaboration amongst all of us that are here today.
Yeah, I mean, didn't beer start didn't some motherfucker in Egypt find some old bread and was oh, I could probably get fucked up off this. And or they ate it because they were just hungry as shit and they were like, fuck it. Yeah, I mean, that's all I got. And they ate it, they got fucked up and was like, I could probably sell this shit. I don't know how exactly it happened, but I know in Egypt,
Everybody in here got an uncle who used to make some drink in his garage. Let's keep it real. Everybody got an uncle who used to go in his garage after y'all ate dinner and come back stumbling. That left eye be low as shit.
Somebody, you'll figure out how to jury rig a high. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's great. It started in Africa, so it just makes sense that it would come full circle and whatnot. It's just crazy that because people don't think that. People think beer, they think European, they think the Germans, they think Belgian or whatever, and it's way bigger than that. And I mean, how is beer in other countries, like in India or whatever? Have you had anything from other countries or anything like that, anywhere else outside of America that's doing anything?
Well, I actually, the brewery, I contract brew, the ugly word in craft beer, contract brewing. I was just telling someone a moment ago, when you look at the ingredients that we all use, whether you contract brew or brew as a local brewery, they're all from the same company, Breeze, and local cop growers. So, it's all the same quality. But the brewery that I actually brewed at for 15 years in New York was owned by a brewery from India, Kingfisher. They bought a brewery in Saratoga Springs, New York, and I traveled around with my home brews trying to find a place that could brew beer after the minister said, we don't want no brewing here in Harlem. So I respected that. I didn't want to challenge that. I found the brewery in upstate, and it actually happened to be an East Indian brewery. That brews Kingfisher, which was an amazing relationship. So they have amazing beers, and they were very interesting people, and they came to Harlem. They said, okay, we'd like to have you brew here. We understand what you're saying. And they gave me a contract to brew my home brews there. Yeah. So it was an amazing experience for 15 years until, unfortunately, the owner was extradited by the British government back to India because he borrowed money. I mean, these stories
They was
happen.
making more than beer in that facility.
He got it while he could get it.
I got to give him the love. They gave me a shot. I really appreciate it. But I mean, there's cultures, as I'm sure you encounter them yourself, around the world.
I haven't had any beer from any other country.
Nah. See,
it's just like a brother to be like that. Hey, man, we got to venture out. I be like that, too. That happens with me and Day on the cast all the time.
Let's start with the beers in the region, the nation, and we can...
you at least had a Japanese beer from the hibachi spot. Yeah,
okay, I can admit to that.
Yeah,
now, you go to the hibachi spot, that's when you get the Budweiser. I don't trust all that shit.
You get the little, what is
They
it,
make
Sapporo?
green sauce.
What's
I don't
the,
know what that shit is.
Sapporo, it's like the rice. Is that rice? Is that gluten-free? Is that like a...
See?
It's a hibachi beer. It's a hibachi beer. I know hibachi beer ain't made here. I mean, and I know that shit, I don't really drink a lot of it. It fills me up too much. You know what I mean? It's a little too filling. It's that, you know how the hibachi, you ain't about to have many more than one of them bitches. Like, ain't nobody going there crushing hibachi beers. Who goes to hibachi beer? Like, y'all going to hibachi to get fucked up? Is that what y'all doing out here? Is that how y'all living your life? Like, I just go there
Yeah,
and get
all
some
the black
chip
dudes
pop
in
in
the
my
building
mouth.
like, nah,
Pause.
we ain't fucking with that. So,
You over getting slurred off of hibachi beers?
nah, I don't, listen, bro, you know I ain't drinking no hibachi, nothing.
You don't do the hibachi? Everybody do the hibachi. Everybody that got kids
Hibachi
do the hibachi.
is like, I've gotten an argument with my girl and I gotta take her somewhere nice. That's the only
yeah.
time
It's
you don't see
for
me
your
in
girl
hibachi.
and kids. We ain't picking that shit. I mean, that's a hibachi is an obligation. If you see a nigga in hibachi, he's obligated to something. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, nah, he
We ain't
definitely
choosing that
she
shit.
just went through his phone.
His
Look,
birthday.
if you to at hibachi, be like, she
his
just went through
birthday
your phone.
parties and makeup. Like that's
All right, so Fresh Fest, we're trying to conjure up, you know what I mean, we're trying to promote, you know, black influence on the craft industry. So if we could ask the question, why craft? If you can give just a small pitch, why craft beer, each of you?
yeah, the black community. 'Cause they be like you.
Because we
No,
we
if
found,
you're talking to the black community, you mean like why craft beer?
Why should they choose craft?
why craft? Because a lot of times, at least like where I'm from and people that I know, they'll be like, oh, you be drinking beer. And again, we view beer a lot of times in our communities as malt liquor. That's what we come up with, malt liquor.
If
like,
you don't like
yeah.
OE, you don't
Well,
like beer.
I can just share a very quick story. When I first started my company, I pitched to distributors because in order for you to sell to stores, you have to typically sell to distributors unless you're self-distributing. And when I went into the distributor, they said, you know, this is nice. I get it, but black people don't drink that type of beer. I was like, what? And I had all these Coke 45 malt liquor. I had some Billy D. Williams, who I love,
Billy
around
D.
there. So they were like a Coke 45. And they were like, you know what? So they assumed, one, that I was making beer for the black community. And I was making beer for people that love beer. And obviously, there was going to be an affinity to my own
Should
community.
have got comfortable, y'all.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Talking with her
So
hands
I'm in
now.
this room, and they're like, you know, this is not the beer that you should be making. And I was like, And then some other things happening. Anyway, I left. I decided it wasn't a distributor for me. So I think why craft beer? Craft beer is really focused to a large extent on craft and community. The brewers that I know that are members of the New York City Brewers Guild, they do a lot for the community to raise awareness for different causes, support different initiatives in the community. So I think when we look at our communities, the needs, the focus, what's happening, the craft beer platform, for me, we support a lot of charitable stuff. We give away a lot of beer. Partially, yes, it helps build brand awareness for our company, but also these are things that I support and believe in and think are important. So I think if you're going to drink beer, and in the age that we live in where we're conscious about what we buy and what the things that we buy stand for, craft beer is an important product to support, because more than likely this is going to be a product that actually supports your community and what you do. And that's what we've been doing for 17 years, you know, whether it's the Apollo Theater, the Dance Theater of Harlem, the National Black Theater, and so many causes from our community and beyond. I think craft beer is a great opportunity for us to get behind something that's really going to give back to making a difference with who we are.
Triple C's, craft, community, and circulate that dollar, y'all. Circulate that dollar. We're going to go to the 4C. Chris Harris, why craft beer? If somebody walked up to you and said, why craft? Why are you drinking that? Why are you in that industry? What would you tell them?
First, for me, is I love brewing beer. That's first and foremost for me. To me, a perfect day is when I'm in my brewery, there's nobody else there, and it's just me and the beer. And all I'm doing is concentrating on brewing my beer, and that's like a perfect day for me. It's like there is no time. I can't describe it. It's just me and the beer, and I'm just there, and I'm just doing what I do. But if I was speaking to someone else and they were asking, why should I drink craft beer? There's so much diversity in craft beer to where it's not a Bud Light, Miller Lite, or a Bud. I mean, you can go from a Belgian to a sour. I mean, to a lager. I mean, there's so much that you can do with beer, and so most people's perception of beer is those main brands, but there's so much more to it than just that. So it's like you really have to expand your palate and your knowledge to really enjoy craft beer. When people come into the tap room, I start them with the lightest beer, and then it's like, okay, once I get them hooked on that, then I might try and get them with a pale ale, or I might try and get them with a porter. It's like I'm trying to expand their palate.
You gotta ease them into it.
Exactly.
Y'all gotta be very
you
careful.
gotta spin on it, right? Because like the thing is like you can't, because they're like the Hefeweizen. I mean, like I was talking to a girl, like we were doing a shuttle service. We were trying to book the shuttle service. It was black owned. And she was like, yo, I've been drinking craft beer for 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, and, whenever I get, somebody in, they're like, like a little Hefeweizen, a little something wheat, kind of light, you know what I mean? Kind of ease them in and then because everybody thinks like when they think craft beer, they think hop. They think like, they think, just like punching you in the face hops, like, Right. And I love hops, and I was in that. And the craft beer, like the IPA, was the thing that kind of like, for a long time or whatever. But there's way more than that. You know what I mean? And you can start it out. And like, you don't have to, I know a lot of craft beer drinkers that love craft beer and don't fuck with IPAs.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, so like,
How could you?
You could, and I think letting them know that, like that education side and saying like, you could still love beer and not love certain styles. Like chili beers, there's only a very select few bit of chili beers that I like. I like a nice little ting, and like it builds up, it's a little warm. But like a habanero, I had a habanero sculpin. It was like, me and Buzzy, it took us like an hour to finish like a 12-ounce beer because it just sat on my goddamn chest the whole time. Like,
in your throat.
As soon as I got done with a sip, like I was like, how long I been in this? And it kept, So it was like, I don't like that shit. And I'm not gonna pain myself just to be like, I love craft beer. No, fuck that shit. I don't like that beer. Go fuck you. Like,
That's like their perception of dark beers. They see a dark beer and they're thinking automatically they're not gonna like it. That they think it's just gonna be too bitter, and it's like, that's not the case.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of beautiful milky ass beers stouts out there, sweets, and again, it could taste like anything you want it to taste, man. Like. Oh, this is Imperial. Oh, you want to open this Imperial stout up here?
She's really.
We got to open it. All right. Well, we got to open that one.
While we do that, so. We've been able to pick their brains, but now it's time for you guys. If you have any questions, we're going to open this up to, to the crowd. So if you have any questions, my man go walk around with the mic. We got, okay, Celeste point out, she's like, I'm in control. I love it. I love it. Queening.
So my name is Slim, and I know that brewing is universal, but I know that distilling came from Africa, especially Egypt. So is that where most of you guys get your brewing from, is from the distilling process of Egypt?
At least for me, I brew a lot of American styles. So my influence doesn't come from Egypt. I know the culture of where brew come from, but I like to brew a lot of American styles.
I wouldn't say that my recipes come from there, but they are heavily inspired by the Nubian, Kemetic, and Egyptian culture. I am right now looking at a set of papyrus papers that has countless recipes utilizing beer and beer recipes. So I want to kind of get into that and understand what those early recipes are. And once I have a chance to understand that, I'll probably maybe utilize some of those ingredients at those recipes. I draw a lot from history, whether it's history of Harlem, the Renaissance, other histories of the Harlems of the world, as Lloyd Williams of the Harlem Chamber of Commerce would say. But there is a lot there within the records in Egypt and the Sudan and other cultures in Africa. So I'm studying that now just to sort of get an understanding of what some of those ingredients were, what the grains were, sorghum, millet, other grains that they use. So I'm very interested in just to have an appreciation of what it was like earlier.
Wakanda forever. Look, I'm just trying. I find every excuse to throw that in. 2018, that shit gonna expire on December 31st. I'm throwing that in every conversation.
If you'd like to ask a question, we'd ask if you come up front. I don't have much slack on this microphone, so.
All right. I just wanted to know, like, in terms of starting your brewery, like business side, like, how did you guys start that? Like, did you have investors? Did you get loans? Like, I just want to know how you really built up your business and started your brand, and how you got off the ground.
They're going to have you have a seat if you ain't got a 401k.
Brew Tang. I like that shirt, though. Yeah, shout out to that. Shout out to Brew Tang.
You can start with investors. Again, like I said, I kind of drew money from a 401k. I wanted to dip my feet into the brewing community because if my friends and my family and people were lying to me and saying that my beer wasn't good, then I really wasn't out anything.
Except for retirement.
But as far as starting a business on the brewery side, as you probably know, each state has different laws on the process of starting a brewery. But as far as the federal side of things, it's the same through the TTB. I guess my suggestion would be is to write a business plan, know where you want to go with your business, and what you want to achieve, and do it out for 3 years and see where you want to go.
Well, when I started, I think those are all very important points, and it really does depend on where it is you want to go. I would say when I started, there were maybe about 1,500 breweries in the country. Now there's 6,000 and growing. And I think, for me, brewing the beer is the easiest part. It's at the end of the day, where are you going to sell the beer? Are you going to do an on-premise location, a brew pub, where basically all of your beer is going to be sold on-premise and people are going to come in and have an experience just at your place? Are you going to launch a brand in the retail market where you want to sell to Whole Foods or local bars and restaurants? You know, where do you really see your... Should I stop talking? Is that why this stopped? Okay. Cut me off. I know we got to go drink more beer. So.
We normally play you music.
Whenever,
we'll play. We got Dom out here.
So I was just saying, what is it that you want to do? What are you most passionate about? I just started a collaboration brewery in Rocky Mount, and there was a young lady that I partnered up with. I said, Brianna, are you just trying to be a brewer, or are you trying to run a brewery? Because you can be a brewer and just have a job. Then you can be in a brewery, and then you got to be in charge of marketing, sales. She just got a forklift certification. You got to be able to pick up those pallets and move them around. She's got to be out in the market selling the beer. You don't just need to sell the beer. You've got to get sell through and repeat sales. You've got to be out there with the customers. So, Brianna, I asked her, before I decide to partner with you, what is it that you want to do? Because I need to know what the hell I'm getting into.
Yeah, I mean,
if you just want to brew the beer and stay in the brew house, okay, just say that. But if you're building a brand, your ass needs to be out there in the market 2 days a week selling your beer, because I'm not going to do that shit.
Yeah.
That's not my
Brewing
job.
only takes up
So,
about
I mean, you really
10%
have
of
to
your
decide
time.
what it is that you want to do.
And then that's,
And you've got to be able to sell that beer, because you don't want shit sitting on the shelf. There is nothing worth, I've been there, where I got to go pick up the beer myself and find a way, undercover, DL, to get that shit sold. You do not want to be in that position. So you really need to think long and hard. As I said, brewing the beer, to me, you may differ with that.
It's easy.
Other brewers in the room, where's the guy who was making that peach thing? Oh, there he is. Amazing stuff he was talking about. You can do that. You can pour your passion into it. But if you're going to enter the retail market, you need to know where you're going to sell that beer before you make it.
you
really do.
They're like that. Like, I mean,
You do not want to be in the position. Now, my advice, as I was sharing with a young man who's opened up a brewery in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, my hometown, is to look at an on-premise location where you can really differentiate yourself and do something unique to draw people to you, to make the sales on-premise and to have people experience what you do right there.
Dropping
That's
jewels
my
in this
suggestion.
joint.
A brew pub on-premise where your experience is there in that bricks and mortar, where your sales are there in the bricks and mortar, where you're not dependent upon Anheuser-Busch, Coors, and Miller to distribute your stuff, because trust me, they'll take your shit, but they're taking it to catch and kill. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. No, I'm just encouraged by the question.
Yeah.
Just the question, like people inquiring and shit like that. I love that.
But we got, I mean,
No, we got people lined up. They ready.
Oh yeah, we got line.
oh, we got celebrities here.
Oh, hold on. We got
Beyonce
somebody that's going to
Bruin in
compete with
this
your
month.
voice. Hold on.
Of
Who
course
voice
they
is
ready.
deeper? Hold on. Shut up. I want to see who voice is deeper.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
we
He
do.
got you. He got you. What
Hey,
you going to do? How
I'm
deep can you go?
T.O.
Pause.
and Benny, Dope and Dank. First and foremost, Chris, Celeste, you have got to understand how much respect that we have for you and the trail blazing that you all do. Thank you. Thank you. Please know that we never look at that box as a box, but we look at it as a crown, so thank you for rocking it always. My question to you with regards to introducing people of color to craft beer, based off of the challenges that you have in terms of presenting it to people of color, religious clergymen, whatever the case might be, and in every white community is looked at as an institution of progress or a hub for the community. How do you deal with the fact that it's that much harder when you have liquor stores in every corner, but yet you don't have breweries, but you have clergymen and people that are against the concept of craft beer and black people making beer?
How do you deal with hypocrisy?
Thank you.
He was just trying to use a big word.
I don't have to deal with that. I guess fortunately.
Well, I mean, I feel like you had to because, like, I mean, you are in the black community, so motherfuckers might buy Budweiser before they buy, because they be like, oh, well.
Well, my brewery isn't in the black community though.
But you're black.
Yeah, I am black.
Yeah. So you have black friends and family.
I
right?
do.
And I would imagine that like at some point, like, like you were in this, and I think every black successful motherfucker on the planet has at some point been doing something dope, and the people around them immediately wasn't there. Not everybody, but wasn't right there until you started to pop a little bit.
He's specific to clergy though. He's saying like he hasn't had the pressures from the church in that regard.
Church.
Because he's not in the black community.
Now I can tell you that I don't have the support that I would like from my black community.
Okay.
I can tell you that. So my brewery is in a predominantly Caucasian area.
You can say white.
European.
They can't do nothing over here.
European American.
We give them free beer.
And
he was nervous to say white, like white people be nervous to say black. They'd be like, Afro, color, nigga,
And so I may, out of everybody that comes into my tap room, I can tell you, I only have one or two black people that come in there. But everybody else accepts me for who I am. And I would like to think that they don't, I am black. But first and foremost, I'm a brewer, and I brew a good damn beer. And so that's first and foremost. And then after that, okay, I'm African American, and I'm brewing this beer.
Yeah, I have a question. Barrett Tillman.
Yeah, Barrett Tillman. Over
Barrett
here
Tillman's in the house.
Yo, he's collaborating.
Black
over
Man
here.
Brewing.
He's got the he's collaborated with Grist House over here. You got the Cloudy Kettle number 4.
Yes.
That. Yeah. So shout out to Barrett. What you got for us, Barrett?
All right. So, just kind of quick observation. Just having my own company, and doing something that's very distinctive. I have a company for yeast to make sour beers, right? And what I'm finding is, like just sort of like Fresh Fest here, that first initial push. Everyone seems to want to know, what are you doing and why are you doing it, right? But how do you take it one step further to actually get your community engaged in what you're doing to the point where they support with their dollars, with their media, with their talent, with their understanding, so that your identity in an industry doesn't just fall by the wayside, where you're only that brewery in the corner over here in your neighborhood, and not that medium-sized brewery that can supply your community.
So if I understand correctly, the question is, how do we get our community to support what we're doing as brewers? Or is that the business community? Okay, so
Not just
consumers
community,
and
but the business
retailers.
community.
Wow, well, yeah. 17 years later, it's definitely been a mixed bag. But I would say that right now there's such a amazing... the movie Black Panther came out, as you know, and even before that, there was such a
Wakanda forever.
exciting interest to support support businesses in our community. And I think because what we're doing in the craft beer space is so unique and it's so kind of non-traditional, extraordinary, people are trying to wrap their heads around what is this? Because they're just Anheuser-Busch, Miller, Coors, Corona, they've just Super Bowl ads, they just beat you over the head with the beat scenes and all that stuff. It's kind of hard for them to even know that we exist. And not just us, but craft brewers in general, but specifically as it relates to us, it's just you have to break through all that noise because those ads and all of that millions of dollars that they put behind the beer, it's a lot. Sometimes I have to kind of just step back because I'm like, wow, I just want to think for myself, but the ads are sort of telling me what to do. So it's a lot to break through, but I would say that in terms of how you do that and how you do it from a genuine way that speaks to who you are and what you believe in, it's really looking at what it is you love, the organizations, the community groups that you love and stuff that you want to be a part of. Start with that, but just arbitrarily going out there and trying to figure out who you can connect with and how you can make them understand what you're doing, I don't find that really is very productive. But think about what you're passionate about. And think about the beer like any other product or thing that you're passionate about, how that banner and what it is you love can help enhance what it is they do, what resonates with you, what resonates with them. So just start from that place, and I think from there, a lot of things just sort of evolve, and you build those relationships. But for us, we recently, as I was mentioning maybe to you and a couple others, we started talking to, I went to Shaw University undergrad, and we started talking to the HBCUs about apprenticeship programs, because there's a lot of conversation about diversity and the lack of diversity. But if we're not talking to the colleges and the universities about what craft beer is and the opportunities, whether it's growing the hops, barley, running a bar, or running a brewery, then they don't really necessarily have the insights and information on where the opportunities are. So that may be an area you might want to look at. But I think that it's really reaching out, doing outreach. They're not necessarily going to find you, but if you reach out to them, I've been really encouraged and inspired by how people reach back when you show them that it's something that you have an interest in being a part of as well.
Yeah, we can do one more question.
Hi, I spoke to you guys out there, and thank you.
Well, we got one more question, and then if you folks got more questions, we got a whole ass beer festival about to happen out here. Yeah, I mean, afterwards, you guys can get in there. Oh yeah, no, the shit has started already. This motherfucker's out there drinking, so yeah, I mean.
First off, thank you for the mentorship, because I've been brewing for 5 years. Just in case you don't know, my name is Kevin Stewart. I was featured on Beerland. I was one of the competitors. I designed.
He's one of the collaborators. He'll be with Fury Brewing out there, making that beautiful ass dreamsicle that y'all gonna be having out here. So shout out to that.
Thank you. Now this is, how technical is your equipment? Or are you using hot liquor tank, mash tank, boiled tank? Or are you guys using circulation, like rims and things like that? How technical is your equipment at this early stage? Or are you moving toward that?
Okay, for me, got
a nerd question.
I do a no mash system, so I don't mash at all. I take a little hit on my efficiency, but it does save me on time. I mean, I'm sorry, no spars. I meant to say no spars. No spars. I'm sorry, I meant to say no spars.
You blew his mind.
I don't even
you
know
fucked
what
him
the
up
fuck
right
that
there.
means.
You blew
They
his
had
mind.
a whole ass
He was like, "Wait, you
conversation,
don't
and I
mash,
was
fam?"
like, so wait,
Said
did y'all
you
brew
don't
beer
mash.
still? Like,
No spars. No spars. No spars.
no spars. That sound like some old Greek shit. I don't even know. Like,
No,
what about, like,
this between them
I thought
two. This
y'all,
ain't got nothing to do with
this is
nobody else.
boxing or brewing?
I do use a rim system though. I do use a rim, but no sparge. I don't sparge.
We got a whole ass festival after. We
Yeah,
gonna talk
'cause you got
about
a
it.
bunch of
We gonna talk
follow-up
about it.
questions.
We got to get out of here. We got to get to the courtyard.
Have you brewed the old-fashioned way?
The only thing that I'm adding different in there is the rim system. So it's still sitting in the mash, but it's just recirculating within the mash.
All right, look, hold on. If we want to do some instruction, because
Yeah, like,
we got like 8
You
get the whole ass lesson, and they might charge for that. We don't know. They might do brewing classes. Like I don't want to step on. I don't want to step on y'all bottom line. We appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah. Well, all right. One more last question.
We got one last question here.
A few months ago, I had a chance to take a part of a presentation.
Are you that dancing Dave ass dude? Are you about to break down?
No,
Y'all know that dancing dude? You ain't
no,
the dancing.
absolutely
you ain't the dude. I'm the only one.
Damn,
all
you should have cleared that with him before you asked out loud.
You don't know like the.
Are you that dancing ass dude? That's a weird question.
No, absolutely not. Where we were a part of a
You know
presentation.
what I'm talking about because I ain't the first motherfucker to say it to you. That's like I know that. All right, go ahead.
Where you were there with the Nair's Green Whiskey, and being a black man and being a part of that, the message that was being portrayed made me a little uncomfortable. So my question is, as black brewers, do you feel the pressure to change your message and your culture to be more inclusive to everybody, given the fact that because you are black brewers, we have a tendency to grasp to you and feel a sense of pride, but because you feel like because you're black brewers, if you don't change the message and the way you portray yourselves to be more inclusive, you'll get washed out.
Yeah, I think I follow him. I don't feel like I need to change. No, I think I can still be who I am, and still brew the beer that I want to beer without changing. I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I know. I see the question because we were kind of challenged with this too. Because a lot of people were, "Why has it got to be a black beer festival? Why can't it just be a beer festival?" So,
nobody says anything when it's a Greek festival or an Italian festival or a Polish festival, and they're like, "Oh, why has it got to be about race or this, that, and the other?" And it's like, it seems like it's as long as you talk about white folks, it's cool. And they're like, "Well, I've never been to a white festival. Have you ever been to a goddamn beer festival in America? It's all a white beer festival. They all white beer festivals." You've had them. You've had all of them. Yeah, I mean, if you've been to one, you've been to one. So like, yeah, it's, I mean, we're just celebrating our identity just like everybody else. I love fucking Halushki, bruh. Yeah, I mean, you motherfucking Polish motherfuckers did it. Yeah, y'all motherfucking did it. I don't know what you did, how you did it, but you fucking did it. Thank you for Halushki. Yeah, I mean, so you can get to thank us for funk. If this is a funky ass industry, this is an industry that values funk. We invented funk. I mean. Let us in.
All right, I know y'all got to do one more question. So I wanted to ask just, Celeste and Chris, if your beer could have one everlasting impression on your state, what would you want that one everlasting image of your beer to be on your state, for what you guys are doing?
Damn, that's heavy. That's heavy right there.
Yeah.
We got to end on a heavy note.
Yeah, like we
make them think.
I want to do the Miss America.
Because I've been thinking Harlem Brew. I've been thinking how we gonna get Cameron involved.
An impression that you want to leave on your state.
Yeah.
On the state of New York?
Yeah. What's the impression that you want to leave on the state of New York?
Cam did it.
Other than lemonade.
Ooh, I like you did that sassy as fuck. Other than lemonade.
I don't know. I mean, the impression I'm kind of still thinking about that inclusivity thing. But on the state of New York, I mean, Harlem is the epicenter of African American culture and culture in the world. And that's the thing that we're struggling right now to preserve in Harlem. There's a huge transformation going on there, and shifting of the demographic, and we're literally trying to save landmark buildings and places to make sure that people don't forget where Harlem was. Exactly. So I think the lasting impression, I don't know if I can really speak to that specifically, but I just want to do what I can in my small way, and there's so many things that are much more significant than my little beer banner to make sure that it's not forgotten. And we're literally battling on a weekly basis. I just left Harlem. There's some stuff happening on 141st Street, people trying to take over properties. So it's a constant battle, but I think really just making sure that that history isn't forgotten and doing what I can on this very small banner as part of the collective to make sure that people know the history, the past history and the current history, and the community that inspired me to come there. Growing up as a kid, I heard about it. My cousins were born and raised there. I wanted to be a part of this magical, amazing place, and making sure that that magic and what people that travel to Harlem from around the world come there for, that feeling and what inspires them isn't forgotten. So I know that doesn't answer your question, but that's just...
No, it is. Yeah, I mean, that is a hell of an impression. What impression would you leave on Ohio? Please say fix the roads.
We got great roads. What you talking about? We got great roads.
Pittsburgh roads is the shit. Y'all roads is terrible.
Right. You talking about our roads. We got great roads.
I don't know if you've driven to...
They doing construction outside of the festival right now.
Because they fixing the roads. You know what I mean? I want y'all to do more of that. To lead by example. You know what I mean? You know, go ahead.
He's being disingenuous. We're going to let it slide. OH10 in the building.
OH10.
We in the building.
You know I got a beer called OH10.
Oh, we going to talk. We going to get into our shit. So
wow. That is a great question. My bad. What impression would I like to leave on Ohio? Oh, Lord.
Did somebody say go blue? Did somebody say go blue?
He did.
You got to go. Yeah, you got to roll, fam. Yeah, you got to roll.
I guess I would like to leave that.
Hey, say it with your chest.
This is not the place to be humble. Go ahead.
Say it with your chest. You know what I mean? I came through and wrecked shit.
Yeah, I
remember
brewed some great
name,
beer.
Black Frog.
And I represented Ohio the best I could.
Ribbit, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
go.
That's what he want to leave. Ribbit, motherfucker.
No, well, we want to leave you up with a lasting impression. So can we please clap it up for our two guests, Celeste and Chris, for coming through, imparting their wisdom. We're so appreciative of you guys being a part of Fresh Fest, because I mean this right here, this Q&A, this is what we wanted to do with this festival. I am so encouraged by just the interest of African Americans in the craft beer industry, in the business of craft beer. So again, I want to extend on behalf of Drinking Partners and Black Brew Culture, we want to extend our thanks for you coming out. Listen, we got to go out because, as Dave said many times, there's a whole ass beer festival happening outside that we have missed. Dave, let the people know where they can find us so we can get out here and enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Man, if you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, and Google Play under Drinking Partners. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod.
All right, listen, man, we want to thank you all for coming out to Fresh Fest 2018. We about to go out here and enjoy ourselves, and as always, Drinking Partners is the crew, Epicast is the family, and we at Fresh Fest.